Hello and welcome to Northwest Newsweek. Ontario Provincial Police have now confirmed that one person died in a highway crash near Geraldton late Wednesday afternoon. The collision involved a transport and a pickup truck. It happened at around 5 p.m. on Highway 11 just east of Highway 584 turnoff. Members of the Greenstone OPP along with fire and EMS attended the scene. Police say the driver of the pickup truck, a 40-year-old man from Timmins, was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver of the transport was not hurt. The investigation into the cause remains ongoing, but OPP say there is no evidence to support any charges at this time. The highway remained closed to all traffic until early Thursday morning. Kenora OPP have laid charges against the driver in a fatal single-vehicle crash on Highway 525 last spring that killed 2 people and injured 2 others. 42-year-old Janine McDonald of Wasambug First Nation faces 5 charges in all, including 2 counts of impaired operation caused death and 1 count of dangerous operation causing death. The crash happened just after 1 o'clock in the afternoon last April 13th. Ontario NDP leader Marit Stiles is promising to make Northern Ontario highways safer. If she's elected premier later this month, Stiles made the announcement in Thunder Bay last Saturday after treating herself to some local delicacies. Justin Hardy has more from the local campaign stops.
Saturday morning, Ontario NDP leader Marit Stiles stopped in to speak to residents and local business owners at the Thunder Bay Country Market. There, she was treated to a free Finnish pancake breakfast. Following that visit, she made her way to the Persian Man to pick up a few dozen of Thunder Bay's favorite pastries. Later on, she stopped at KCATS, an employment and training service in Thunder Bay, to commit to safer highways.
Nobody relies on highways as much as people in Northern Ontario.
Stiles says her government would keep highway safety a top priority and promise safety measures like highway widening, bringing truck driver exams and training back under public control, and ending private highway maintenance and snow clearance contracts.
We can't afford not to do this, right? Like, this is actually, this is about people's lives, and it is, as you heard, I mean, it is absolute carnage. But it's also a critical part of our economy to keep things moving. So there's really, I would say, very few options here. We need to get this done, and it needs to be a priority.
Northwestern Ontario highways are notorious for collisions, particularly involving commercial transports. Jordy Medor has been a truck driver in the region for almost 30 years. He says every accident on our highways blocks trade across the country.
All the commodities that are going through Canada has one point. So to have a government that's willing to, spend money to widen highways and to expand training, to put the training back where it should be, not in, the hands of the people that aren't doing the training.
Election day is fast approaching. Ontarians will head to the polls on February 27th. To find out when, where, and how you can vote, check your voter information card. If you haven't received your card, you can contact your local returning office. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
With the election just a week away, we'll now take a look at the candidates running in Thunder Bay Superior North. Longtime Marathon Mayor Rick Dumas is attempting to make the jump to provincial politics after being chosen as the progressive conservative nominee in the riding. Jonathan Wilson has more on this candidate profile.
Rick Dumas was first elected mayor of Marathon in 2006 after serving several terms as a town councillor. He's now been in the mayor's chair for nearly 2 decades. He's also the president of the Thunder Bay District Municipal League and served many years on the board of NOMA, the Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association. We asked Dumas why he decided to try his hand at provincial politics.
I was looking at my own career and I thought, well, I was looking at retirement and I was talking to a few people about the provincial and federal levels of governance, and I always thought I could do some more within the riding. And I've always been a true proponent of that. As you know, with my 20 years plus on NOMA, 20 years plus on Thunder Bay District Municipal League, I've already been doing the regional stuff, working with that, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go forward and go to the provincial level.
When asked what his main priority would be if he's elected as an MPP at Queen's Park, Dumas mentioned several areas he wants to improve, but his main focus will be the safety of drivers on the highways running through the vast riding.
I drive the highway to and from Thunder Bay probably I can't even count, probably 10,000 times over the last 30, 40 years. So I'm fully aware of that. In the last 5 or 6 years, the highway's been the best it's ever been in all those 30 or 40 years. So that was my number one thing, highway safety, healthcare, and now, of course, with the onset of drugs and mental health and homelessness is a big thing for all of our communities. We're all facing those dilemmas, so that's something I think I can bring to the table, bring the voice of the Northwest, and specifically Thunder Bay Superior North Riding.
Dumas says besides living in the eastern part of the riding, the one thing that really sets him apart from his opponents in Thunder Bay Superior North is the length of his tenure in politics. He also points to his time on the municipal associations, which lobby the province to meet the needs of the region.
So experience, more than anything, is the experience is about my time on my municipal council of 31 years, 19 as a mayor. I look at my roles on NOMA and the Thunder Bay District Municipal League. And the reality is, with all those roles, going to government over all those years and arguing about the specific things about the highway safety, the healthcare. So I look at that and I say, that's my experience. My experience at the table is the longevity of my role as a member of council and my member of NOMA and Thunder Bay District Municipal League.
Jonathan Wilson, TBT News.
We'll now move on to the incumbent Lise Vaugeois in the running for re-election for the Ontario NDP. Justin Hardy has that candidate profile.
Originally elected in 2022 on her second foray into provincial politics, Lise Vaugeois claimed the Thunder Bay Superior North seat on behalf of the NDP after the retirement of former Liberal seat holder Michael Gravel. Vaugeois beat out PC candidate Peng Yu by exactly 800 votes. She explains why she decided to seek re-election.
I think the North is easily overlooked in Southern Ontario, and I feel that I've been able to be a very strong voice. I've enjoyed getting to know people throughout the riding. I really love problem solving. And I think I've been very effective, and so I want to continue that work.
Up until this latest election was called, Vaugeois served as the NDP's critic for seniors, as well as the party's critic for WSIB and injured workers. She has continuously criticized the Ford government for the state of highway safety in Northern Ontario, as well as the selling off of public assets over the past 30 years.
I think of Highway 407. That should be bringing money into Ontario. We shouldn't have to continue to be paying for that highway. Hydro One was sold off by the Liberals, 60% of that. Now we've lost control and we wind up paying more. These are things that I think are mistakes, and we should be actually keeping those assets so that we have revenue for the public.
Vaugeois says what sets her apart from her opponents in Thunder Bay Superior North is that she brings a long view and an analytical view to Queen's Park, as well as the willingness to listen and to try to come to a shared understanding with those she may not agree with.
We live in a time of real division, and we have seen particular politicians using the stresses of our time to divide people from each other, as if we were in enemy camps. I think this is a huge mistake, and I hope that what I bring creates more possibility for us to be working together and solving our problems together.
Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Switching now to the Liberal candidate in that riding, Thunder Bay City Councillor Brian Hamilton is trying his hand at provincial politics for the first time. Jessica Clement spoke with him for that candidate profile.
Though it's his first time running provincially, Brian Hamilton believes his experience in municipal politics and his work in the community will make him a champion for Thunder Bay Superior North. The Ontario Liberal candidate is a second-term city councillor, as well as the owner of local coffee shop Bean Fiend. He also serves as chair of the Thunder Bay DSAB and as a member of the CEDC. Hamilton says the riding needs someone who's always at the table and putting people first.
Well, I think the opportunity really ultimately is to have an MPP that has looked through the municipal lens, really understands the needs of municipalities in a really substantive way, and has worked with community partners, that has done work from the ground up, has, because that's ultimately where the answers are coming from.
Hamilton says listening to frontline workers, specifically in education, healthcare, and social services, is what he wants to prioritize if he gets elected. He explains that they know the solutions and how to improve those sectors.
We really have to flip leadership on its head and start to really lead in a circular fashion and stop pretending that politicians know best. Frontline service providers certainly do. Our educators, our nurses, our doctors do. So, that's the kind of leadership that I'm going to be bringing to the table.
Hamilton says his ability to look at and fix issues through a municipal lens sets him apart from the other people on the ballot in the riding.
And I think the opportunity here for Thunder Bay Superior North is to have, leadership in that position that could really, reflect the needs of the municipalities and the frontline organizations that are out there doing the work and being able to support them, including cities and neighbor First Nations, in getting to where we want to go. We need more housing. We need to support our people better. We need safer highways, and we need better health care.
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
TBT News has reached out to the Ontario Green Party in hopes of talking to John Northey, the Green candidate in Thunder Bay Superior North. But we've been told that Northey is not available for media interviews during this campaign. Looking west to Kenora Rainy River, we spoke to some of the people vying for that seat at Queen's Park. Justin Hardy has the riding profile.
Election day is February 27th. Kenora Rainy River candidates say they are ready to fight for the riding.
There's value in shifting gears.
If you're tired of recycled politics, look at us.
Let's make a change for the Kenora Rainy River riding.
Anthony Leake is once again representing the Liberals in Kenora Rainy River. He's been working at Seven Generations for about 10 years and previously ran for the Liberals in 2011, 2014, and 2022. He spoke about his main issue in this campaign.
I think healthcare is a big one. We've been seeing a lot of underfunding going on, even though budgets have been looking like it's bigger, but it's just not being delivered properly to frontline workers and people that are going to the hospital and dealing with those frontline workers and getting the care that they need. I think that's a big one.
Representing the Green Party in Kenora Rainy River is parachute candidate John Reddens. Originally from Scriber, where he sat on a number of town committees, Reddens has lived in Ottawa for the past 20 years. He says he would fight to keep Northern generated money in the north.
Our royalties, the Northern Ontario royalties from our mine sector, I see a lot of it going into big infrastructure projects here in Southern Ontario. So it makes me look good to be an outsider seeing what's going on.
The Ontario NDPs have chosen Rudy Turtle to represent the party in the riding. He has served 7 terms as chief and councillor for Grassy Narrows First Nation and also ran federally for the NDP in 2019. He says affordable housing is one of his top priorities.
So that people will have a place to stay and to sleep. And also, as I mentioned, especially like with the addictions, there's lots of drugs on the streets and flowing into the community.
Progressive Conservative incumbent Greg Rickford was not made available for media interview during this campaign. The other candidate for the Kenora Rainy River riding is Randy Ricci of the New Blue Party. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
We'll be wrapping up our profiles of the region's candidates with a look at the Kiiwetinoong riding right after this short break. Election Day is this Thursday, and we're closing out our profiles of the region's candidates. We spoke to some of the candidates vying for the Kiiwetinoong seat at Queen's Park. Justin Hardy has this riding profile.
There's just a few days until Ontarians head to the polls. Candidates in Kiiwetinoong say they are ready to stand up for the riding.
People in Kiiwetinoong, we are Northerners, no matter our backgrounds.
And let's work for people and coming up with some solutions.
But there is a solid plan on our platform, which is already costed.
Attempting to hold the Kiiwetinoong seat on behalf of the NDP is incumbent Sol Mamakwa. He's represented the Far North riding since 2018. He was re-elected in 2022 and has served as the deputy leader of the Ontario NDP. He says it's hard to pick just one issue faced by the people of the riding.
I think mental health is a big issue, but also addictions and the safety of the communities. And I know that we know there's a housing crisis in the north, and I mean it's all over Canada, it's all over Ontario, but it's more significant than the further north you go.
Manuela Michelizzi ran for the Liberals in Kiiwetinoong in 2022, and she's once again trying to claim the seat for the Liberals. Michelizzi is an acting vice principal in Sulikout and says her top priority is bringing more housing to the riding.
We have so many wonderful job opportunities for people, and yet there's no place for professionals to live. Working here in a school, we have so many jobs available. I know there are tons of jobs available in the healthcare sector. And we just don't have places for people to live. We don't have the affordable housing.
Representing the Green Party in Kiiwetinoong is Carolyn Spicer. Before entering politics, she worked as a fish and wildlife technologist for the Ministry of Natural Resources. Spicer says her top priority is access to healthcare for the region.
It's very difficult to get an appointment. There's waiting lists. You have to call back the next month to get an appointment, or you can maybe get a phone appointment, but those fill up. So the healthcare, especially in a remote area, we don't have the full slot of doctors that we are scheduled to have.
The Progressive Conservative candidate for the Kiiwetinoong riding, Waylon Scott, was not made available for a media interview. The other candidate in the riding is Teresa Lepich of the Northern Ontario Party. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Ontario Provincial Police have released an update regarding the recovery of a woman's body from the Nipigon Harbor back in the fall. Police were first contacted on October 11th regarding reports of a person in distress in the water at Nipigon Marina. Officers were unable to locate the person, so the OPP's emergency response team and the underwater search and recovery team were brought in. The body of a 34-year-old woman was located and recovered the next day. OPP now say that foul play cannot be ruled out at this time, and the investigation remains active and ongoing. The family has requested that her name not be made public. Anyone with information is asked to contact OPP or Crime Stoppers. A special gathering was hosted at the Valhalla Hotel on Wednesday to provide updates on 3 of the largest Indigenous-led roadwork projects in the country. The proposed Northern Road link would connect with the planned Martin Falls Community Access Road and the Webbekeek Supply Road to provide all-season traffic and economic opportunities around the Ring of Fire. The 3 road projects gathering and expo is just one of many efforts to bring together representatives from Webbekeek, Martin Falls, and proponents of the Northern Road link. The event also featured regulators to provide up-to-date information about the 3 projects being led by First Nations. Northern Road Link project team leader Qasim Sadiq says that the day was all about supporting consolation and engagement with the communities in the area surrounding the 3 projects.
So right now, the draft reports for 2 projects is becoming available to Indigenous communities. For the first 60 days, it's dedicated towards them. Then after the 60 days, it becomes available to the general public as well. So the Indigenous communities will have a total of 120 days from now to about the middle of June, and the general public would be able to comment on that as well. So we welcome feedback, we welcome input. I think it would really enable the project and hopefully make the outcomes better as we go along with that feedback.
More information can be found on northernroadlink.ca. The city of Dryden is working towards its goal of acquiring 30 acres of lakefront property. The community has been eyeing the area on the banks of Wabigoon Lake for decades and is closer to its goal than ever before. The city owns 10 of 30 acres available in Van Horn's Landing, and the other 20 are under control of MNRF. The ministry has agreed to declare its acres surplus so the city can develop it, according to Mayor Jack Harrison. Two provincial investments totaling $5.1 million will enable the city of Dryden to extend infrastructure to Van Horn Landing and down Claybanks Road. Harrison says the infrastructure will enable construction of hundreds of housing units.
Our real focus is on high density housing. We think there's a shortage of that in our area. I've heard it from the business community many times that there's a shortage of housing, especially for their employees in the retail market. Quite a shortage of employees, housing for their employees. So we hope to develop multi-residential housing. That's kind of our priority.
Harrison says infrastructure could begin in the next few years. Big changes are coming to the Kenora area. A vital bridge connecting Kenora and the former town of Kiiwetinin is set to undergo some major improvements. Stay tuned for that story when Northwest Newsweek returns.
There's a lot of different pieces and parts of bridges that you maybe don't see, or it's not shiny.
A vital bridge connecting Kenora and the former town of Kiiwetinin will be getting some essential work done in the coming months. The preventative maintenance will be mostly covered by $5.9 million from the province for that project, along with improvements to the intersection of Lakeview Drive and Minnesota Street. The work is expected to take place in the late summer or early fall and will see a protective coating applied to the bridge's underside for rust protection. The City of Kenora has put out a tender for the bridge work, but depending on the final cost of the project, the city may have to cover some of the price tag itself. Mayor Andrew Poirier says the maintenance is essential to the longevity of the bridge and that the city will cover any shortfall.
I mean, the work has to be done. We get audits on them every 2 or 3 years, and we do work on them on a regular basis. It's maybe not something that shows per se, but there's a lot of different pieces and parts to bridges that you maybe don't see, or it's not shiny, but you still are required to do it. And we do that on a regular basis on a lot of our bridges on an annual basis.
The city will also have to perform similar work on the other 21 bridges located within Kenora. A new office was opened in Kenora earlier this month that is intended to better connect the city with First Nations people from throughout that district. Officials hope the new office will create better relationships between all cultures in the city. The new office, located on the first floor of City Hall, officially opened its doors a few weeks ago. The office aims to build on the city's resolve to develop relations with First Nations in the area. The office holds an open door policy, meaning anyone who calls Kenora home is welcome. According to Kenora's Indigenous Relations Advisor, Ed Madaman, he hopes the office can help the city celebrate all cultures that can be found in Kenora.
We also want to bring some more cultural stuff. But again, Kenora has such a wide cultural base people. We're not only Indigenous, but we also have large Filipinos, we have Italians, we have Ukrainians, we have Germans. So we want to celebrate all those cultures, not just the one culture, but we all live here together. So let's all celebrate together and let's make this place one heck of a place to grow up.
Kenora has also contracted its first city elder, Terry Green, a former band counselor and elder from nearby Nisatchewin Anishinaabe Nation, will perform ceremonial duties such as blessings at groundbreakings for new developments. That's it for this edition of Northwest Newsweek. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.